All right. So usually what we like to do at first is we usually have people kind of just introduce themselves and kind of tell us like how they got to where they are right now and just anything that you want to tell the audience, anyone who might have questions about plants or selling plants.
Yeah, so my name's Jared Buck. I am the co-founder of Rare Plant Daddy. I guess full disclosure, I have been an entrepreneur for basically my entire life.
Yeah.
At 18, I started a bartending business,
Mhm.
a couple of retail cell phone repair shops,
Oh, nice.
a marketing agency, and now I do plants. And I've
Awesome.
done plants now for the last, let's see, 7 or 8 years. And for the last 3 years, it's been full time. It's been
That's
our
awesome.
full time revenue generator.
That's actually, it's funny that you say you had a couple of phone repair shops because like about a year ago, I actually got into like repairing iPhones and stuff. So that was something I kind of did on the side there. Um,
Yeah, the margins
yeah,
are great. You can get
yeah.
you can get the repair stuff from them, and it's cheaper than going through the insurance, same day
Hmm.
repairs. Yeah,
Yeah,
I paid my way through college doing that, and
that's
then
awesome.
instead of moving on to my undergraduate degree or to finish it, I actually bought two retail stores that were in distress in LA.
That's so cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome. All right, so I have just a few questions here that I wanted to go through and ask you real quick. I actually found out about you guys because of your Facebook ads for the Thai constellations
oh
that you
yeah,
guys were doing with the when you join Whatnot, you get the credit. So I actually have a few plants from you that I've got from your online store.
awesome.
Um, I have this Anthurium crystallinum here that I got. My mom actually got this one for me. It was like $5 after the
With the
store credit.
coupon,
Yeah. Um, I was really stoked about that one because I was really wanting to get into the Anthuriums and stuff like that. And then we've got actually got this from a giveaway in one of your live streams.
that
It's a
looks like
little
that's a
Sansevieria.
Sansevieria, maybe a Marcia.
This one I think you guys labeled as like a star Ming, I think.
Starming.
Does that
Yep.
sound accurate?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I got that one from one of your guys' live streams. And then I have this Philodendron Glorious back here.
Oh, those are
This was
fun.
just from when I signed up from Whatnot. But yeah, that was just kind of what I had a question about was it seems like to me I was like this seems like it's almost too good to be true. Like they can't just be like giving away these plants like this. But like what's your business tactic behind that to kind of get more customers and
Marketing.
stuff? Yeah.
So of all the skills that I have, learned over the years of being an entrepreneur, marketing is the hat that I wear most often, that I'm most proficient at.
Yeah.
That comes from the years at the marketing agency.
Mhm.
So I was already proficient at running Facebook ads. All I needed was an
Yeah.
offer. So what I did is I reached out to Whatnot because we do have a little bit of influence in the community. We've got a pretty
Mhm.
large Facebook group. Folks know us on social media, and I
Yeah.
asked them if they had an affiliate program. And most, not most, but many startup companies, especially in SaaS, they're
Yeah.
like Whatnot, will have an affiliate program to bring in new users.
Mhm.
So how that worked was the offer was $15.
Yeah.
That's the offer that Whatnot gives the users. And then when every time I bring in a user and those users complete certain steps for the affiliate program, I get paid a commission on that.
Okay. That's
So
awesome.
it's a
Cool.
yeah, so it's a win for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh my god, how are they staying in business selling plants?
Mhm.
Selling these plants for less than half than what they buy them for.
Yeah.
And the simple answer was that is to grow the platform.
Yeah.
It's an investment for Whatnot. It's an investment for us, and we usually on that investment within 2 years.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense because I used to actually work like selling phones and stuff in Target for a while, and people would ask me like, "Oh, how come this like AT&T branded phone is so much cheaper than the same exact phone that's just unlocked?" And what I realized was it was that AT&T really wants people on their network.
Yep,
So it's probably like a similar thing with Palm Street or whatnot.
yep. It's the
Um,
same exact thing with both those platforms actually.
Yeah.
with both of
Um,
them. We just secured a deal with Palm Street as well to basically do the same thing.
oh, awesome. Cool.
Yep. So you're going
Yeah.
to start
So,
seeing ads from us to bring people over to Whatnot, Palm Street, as well as eBay, because
okay.
eBay is
Cool.
rolling out their live sales platform. Uh, uh, Early adopters in this space get the worm.
Awesome. Okay. So that's something I did want to say for people who might be listening at home and are like, what's whatnot? What's Palm Street? Um, so do you want to kind of like get into that a little bit?
Yeah, I do actually. That is what I believe to be the future of sales
Yeah.
is live sales online, item specific through
Hmm.
either auctions or through bulk sales. It's a better way to shop because you can be in the comfort of your own home
Yeah.
and also be in our greenhouse.
Hmm.
And we can pick out plants individually for you. So the product that you're buying is that individual item, whatever it may be, which is the next step from online retail, right? So imagine you go over to Amazon, you want to buy a phone or batteries or something, and you have
Yeah.
an expert on the other side of that walking you through it. Which one would you like? It's kind of like going through a regular retail store, but having a personal shopper that knows all of the products in there.
Hmm.
And I think it's a better way to shop.
Yeah.
So we're leaning heavily into it for any kind of live sales platform that we can do. Whatnot is a live sales and auction platform for all things collectible. If it's
Yeah.
collectible, you can probably find it on Whatnot, and you can
Hmm.
find them at auction prices. So there are plenty of people that just go on to Whatnot and they're actually resellers. So they're buying from us and then they resell locally to their customers. Same
Yeah.
thing with Palm Street, and we all know eBay. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
eBay's eBay's been a little slow to roll out the live auctions and shopping, but the writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
Customers want live shopping.
Yeah. So that was another thing I was actually going to ask you about is I know you guys have been promoting Whatnot a lot. I've gotten your guys' ads on Facebook several times. Probably took me like a couple times before I realized like, oh, like I should check this out. Um, just because you usually don't think about it, you kind of pass ads, you know how it is.
Yep,
Um,
that's the scroll, the
yeah,
monkey
yeah,
mind. You're just
exactly.
scrolling through in it, getting your dopamine
Uh-huh.
hits.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's pretty common to need to see something, two or three times before you'll actually
yeah,
stop and engage with it.
yeah. So is the reason you guys were kind of promoting Whatnot more than Palm Street because you guys had that deal with Whatnot that wasn't necessarily with Palm Street at the time?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
yes. So just in terms of business operations, you can't really spread yourself too thin.
Yeah,
So, if you're going to identify a new sales channel, make sure that's the right sales channel for you and focus your time on that. That
yeah,
way you get really good at that sales channel. And
gotcha.
as a result of that, over the weekend, we became one of the few premier shops in the plant category for Whatnot.
That's awesome. Yeah,
And that's from 6 months of really dedicating ourselves to making sure that we have the right product at the right time at the best price for the customers that are there. And then order fulfillment,
yeah.
being a premier shop, being a top provider of those products.
Hmm.
And
And I'm
once we
proof
got
that
that,
it works.
yeah, it does exactly. Yeah. And I did. It was funny actually because I was like, dude, when people see these icons and they're $5 or they're free
Hmm.
and they get free shipping, they're like, no way,
Yeah, yeah.
no
They're
way,
gonna
it's
be like,
not
it's too
real.
good to be true.
It's too
Yeah,
good to be true. And I'm no joke. I would spend at least 30 minutes a day going through the comments in those ads and just having to delete all those super negative people
hmm,
that are just like, oh, it's a scam, it's this. Meanwhile,
yeah,
you've got hundreds of comments of people like, yeah, I got mine in the mail for $5.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's
and
so awesome.
that's for a marketer, that is music to your ears when
Hmm.
you see people on there they're like, this is too good to be true. You've got the right offer. You've got it in front of the right people.
Yeah, yeah. And so for anyone who might be listening too, Um, a Tycon is short for a Thai constellation. It's a type of monstera, and it's basically like a really, really heavily sought after plant in the plant community. And so selling like one, even a smaller one for $5 or for free is like pretty unheard of.
It's wild, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy. There were a lot of comments in those ads like, oh, they're going to go out of business, you can't afford to do this.
yeah,
And we could. It was still, you were getting a highly sought after product for a price that you weren't going to find anywhere else,
Hmm.
and all of us were making money.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So now that we've kind of talked about um, some of the fun parts of selling plants, what would you say are reasons why someone wouldn't want to start a plant related business, or some things that might be like hard?
Uh, aside, well, just generally in business in general, not just a plant business in general, it's
Yeah,
hard.
totally. Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
hard. It's very hard. It can be incredibly discouraging. Imagine working 80 hours a week and you lost money.
Yeah.
That's a very real reality of starting any business. The plant specific, there are a lot of pitfalls in the business. One, when you get started, most people when they get started, they're not plant experts,
Yeah.
right? So you don't know how to identify certain sicknesses, pests, diseases, and things like that.
Yeah.
And that is a skill set that you absolutely have to have as a plant curator of any kind
Hmm.
before you can, give those to other people, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't have plant problems going into their collection. It'll sink your
Totally.
business really fast. I've watched a lot of sellers that came in, just guns blazing. They bought
Yeah.
$20,000 worth of inventory. Half of it had mealy bugs, and
Hmm.
they got rid of that inventory, and now their reputation is ruined in the plant community.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
So if you are looking to start a plant business, do it. Come on in. The water's great, but
Hmm.
make sure that baby steps. Crawl before you walk, walk before you run.
Yeah.
Don't go ham and buy a whole greenhouse full of plants until you know how to care for them. You know how to offer advice. You know how to properly fulfill your orders. Packing plants is another thing that
Yeah.
new sellers often struggle with, and it's a great way to ruin your reputation very quickly.
Hmm.
You need to buy stuff from us.
Yeah.
Buy something from a premier shop, and then take an unboxing video. Watch how we are caring for these plants, your how they're packaged, and just in general how the entire order is fulfilled. And then just do what we do.
Yeah.
Totally fine. You can copy me. I will give you a checklist.
Yeah. I might be one of those people here in the next couple of years to try to start up my own plant, like side hustle or business too, because I've always loved plants ever since I was like 16, like when COVID started.
Yep.
That was when I started getting into plants. I'd like grow mostly tropical fruiting plants outside, but then I kind of started getting into house plants.
That's
Um,
when they took off.
yeah,
That's when the house plant, everybody came inside.
yeah,
And then you had to find a hobby that was inside.
exactly.
And plants was something that you could purchase and get delivered to your home. And for the most part, you could do that entire hobby without leaving your house.
Yeah,
Yep.
totally.
Like you could have Amazon bring you whatever potting mixes, all
Hmm.
any equipment you needed. You could have us ship you the plants that you wanted. And then there are other um, socioeconomic things that are happening as well, how the economy is going, less people are having children. And then there is, I mean, we're mammals, right? That is a part of our natural cycle in the world.
Hmm.
So having something to take care of that may not be as expensive as a 2-year-old
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, so I think we kind of talked a little bit about this earlier, but I kind of wanted to ask you, like, what caused you to get into your plants? Like, what kind of sparked your passion for plants?
I've always been into it. I was
Okay.
my FFA chapter president, so I've always been into agriculture.
Hmm.
I grew up riding horses in the American Quarter Horse Association. I did hunter jumpers, and then in the ag department, of course, there's all the farming aspect of it as well. So I've been exposed to it since I was a kid,
Yeah.
and then being able to make it something that pays the bills and we can save a little money here and there.
Hmm.
That happened during COVID.
Yeah.
So I had started a Facebook group right at the beginning of COVID, and it took off. It was, I think it's the second largest or third largest plant group in the
That's
U.S. on
awesome.
Facebook right now. And when that happened, then the marketing took over. And as a marketer, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh no, there's something
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Let's get the plants." And I'd already been exposed to it, so I knew how to grow plants. I knew how to reach out for help through the USDA and the FSA,
Mhm.
which is an incredible resource. If you want to get into agriculture, that should be your first
Yeah.
stop. Those are free resources paid for by the people's money.
Awesome.
So you just call them
Yeah.
up and you're like, hey, this is what we're doing. We need some help. And they'll say, oh, sign up for this grant or that grant.
Yeah.
And they will send experts to you to help you set the whole thing up.
Cool. Yeah, as I ask you
And then,
these questions, I'm trying not to like just ask questions for myself and more for people listening. Because I know a lot of people listening might not be interested as much in plants, but I'm like, oh, I gotta get all the like plant questions out there. But
yeah, well, just from a business standpoint,
yeah.
you can easily get into the plan.
Hmm.
So business is like it's the thing, and I enjoy. I've been
Hmm.
good. I've spent 20 years honing that skill set along with the marketing,
Yeah.
and then I was able to that with something that's fun like plants. And
Yeah.
then when
Exactly.
your business is profitable, it's fun, and you enjoy it, then
Hmm.
it makes your days a lot easier. Yeah, the plant business has been around for, depending on your belief system, thousands of years to 10 thousands of years,
Hmm.
and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It never will. It's agriculture is really what it is. Now, ornamental plants like what we do, the market goes up and down, but
Yeah.
ag in general, people got to eat. Humans have to grow plants.
Hmm.
Period.
Yeah.
For now, we'll see what it's like when we're on Mars, but
Yeah. Exactly.
for now, that's where it's at. So if you're wondering, you're like, hey, man, I'm looking for a business. I want to dip my toes in the water in entrepreneurship and stuff like that. Starting a plant business has a really, really low barrier to entry.
Yeah.
You need a business license and a phone and an email address, and you can start calling up the growers, folks that have 50 plus acres and they're growing all this stuff. And you call them up and you go, hey, I'm a wholesaler. What's your minimum order quantity, which is
Yeah.
usually be around 250, $500. Get your first order, and then, well, now you're the entrepreneur. You have the product to get it to the market,
Yeah.
and you can do that as easily with you could easily set something up for $1,500.
Hmm.
That's a lights, grow tent, some packing material, and plants.
Yeah. Everything you need
Boom,
to get started.
there you go. Go
Yeah.
live on Whatnot.
Yeah. And that was another thing I wanted to ask you about too is like plant wholesale. Because originally when I was thinking about like starting a plant business, I was thinking like, oh, I could buy a bunch of plants, like propagate them, chop them up, wait a few months for them to grow out. But I'm kind of noticing um, most of these growers are buying plants wholesale and then kind of selling them for retail prices. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so you have two things will happen when as you start off and you have a small customer base and not really that many sales.
Mhm.
You can go out and be more picky with your plants, right?
Yeah.
You can go out and say, I want these 10 here. I'm going to propagate them, wait 3 months, root them out. I've got these 10, 20 plants.
Hmm.
When you start, you reach, I don't know the exact number, but I would say it was around 6,000 followers on Whatnot.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to keep up with that unless you invest heavily in your infrastructure.
Hmm.
So at that point, you're going to kind of split. You're
Yeah.
either going to go wholesale farmer and sell to people that do what you do,
Hmm.
or you're going to go retail
Yeah.
where you're buying from those farmers and then you're retailing them. And what most businesses do is we have a little bit of a blended model.
Yeah.
So in order to keep up with demand, I have to buy from growers.
Hmm.
I don't have 50 acres and I
Yeah.
don't have a couple $1 million to put 50 acres of greenhouses up. That's just a reality.
Hmm.
So what I do is I purchase from the folks that already have that infrastructure, and then we take some of our rarer stuff. I've got like this Spiritus Sancte. What else? I got some
Yeah.
cool stuff over here, like stuff like this. And we'll start making investments and stuff like this yellow flame. I
Yeah.
think these are like 300 or 400 bucks.
Hmm.
These Whippleways, which are about the same, and we'll start grabbing those and propagating those out for our future sales
Hmm.
while
Yeah.
keeping our inventory levels high. You can see it's actually funny because behind me here, usually these are just full of plants,
Yeah.
but we're at the end of the year right now. So we're
Hmm.
clearing everything out for January 1st.
Yeah.
Also, there's some socioeconomic stuff, political stuff that happens next year. So
Hmm.
we try to anticipate, how that's going to work out.
Yeah.
But normally you would see all of our retail stuff in here that we're buying from growers, and these trays will just be full of plants. And then on the other
Gotcha.
side here, that is all stuff that we have in propagation.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mhm.
So yeah, for any of you guys who are listening to, we might throw out some plant nerd words every now and then, like propagation. Basically, that means like multiplying plants.
Just to touch on that for people that are listening and considering it as like an entrepreneurial venture, there aren't very many industries that you can get into where you buy a product and it makes more products.
Exactly. Yeah, it appreciates. Yeah.
It appreciates in value. There,
Mhm.
the plant market is, it's a marketplace, so values will go up and down depending on what is
Yeah.
popular. But generally, if you buy a plant like this, right? So I bought one, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes on that. I can cut each one of those nodes out, and in 3 to 6 months, I will have 5 or 6 of these, just like
Exactly.
this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was one of the things that when I first started to get into plants, I was like, this is crazy. Like you can like just multiply these plants pretty much forever until you have like as much plants as you want.
Yep.
Um, and I think something that people don't realize too is these plants will fetch hefty prices. Like
Oh yeah.
especially like you showed the Spiritus Sancti you've got up there in the corner. They've definitely come down in price, but back in like 2020, that would have sold for what? Like
1,500, 2,000.
yeah,
Yeah.
they will sell for a ton.
And just on that too is that not only do you get ones that are like this as a Spiritus Sancte, this
Hmm.
doesn't have any genetic mutations in it. Once you
Yeah.
get when you start breeding them and you get seeds, you get genetic mutations, and a very
Hmm.
common one is called variegation,
Yeah.
and that is where you have white or yellow instead of your normal green chlorophyll.
Hmm.
I know the grower, I think it was last year or the year before, he got some variegated Spiritus Sancte, and those
Yeah.
entered the market as 2 and 4 inch pots at $25,000 a piece.
That is crazy.
A
So yeah, that's
piece.
like a tiny little plant for 25,000.
Yep.
Um,
So you can also, and once that, but that's the farming side of it, right? So
yeah.
now you're breeding, you're propagating, you're multiplying. Um, there's a stroke of luck in there, right? Because that's
Hmm.
nature. And if you get a stroke of luck, like for him right there, that stroke of luck, he probably had maybe a $2,000 investment in those 2 plants.
Yeah.
He's probably over the next 5 to 10 years, if he plays his cards right, he's going to pull $1 million plus out of that
Yeah.
easily, easily.
That is absolutely crazy. I don't think a lot of people realize like how much money you can make from plants.
Many
Um,
millions.
yeah.
Last time I checked, the retail industry on ornamentals in the United States was a $14 billion market.
That's crazy.
So,
Yeah.
and that's also one of those magic numbers you're looking for as an entrepreneur, a business to start, or a qualified investor. That market size, you're looking for billions of dollars in the market size,
Yeah.
and it's there. It's always been there.
Hmm. So are you guys, I know you mentioned like hybridizing plants, how he got those Spiritus Sancti seedlings that happen to be variegated. Do you guys like hybridize plants to increase the rarity or the cost there, or are you mostly just buying from other sellers?
Yes, the species that we have. So I do have some hybridizations that I do of some Hoyas, some Anthuriums. But when you
Mhm.
start getting into the philodendrons, they take a long time and they are difficult to hybridize
Yeah.
because of their reproductive cycle and
Hmm.
how that works. They have to reach a maturity age. So you're not just gonna, they're not flowers. You're not gonna
Yeah.
put it in a pot and 6 months later it's got a bloom in it. You're
Hmm.
looking at 5 to 20 years of natural growth
Yeah.
before they're able to do that. Now you can speed that up like I do. Most of my nursery stock and my breeding program is all under hydroponics. So
Yeah.
I get about 20 to 30% more growth out of that, and it will speed up the process. But yeah, it's still years before you can get a specimen to cross with another specimen. And then with the philodendrons, that spadix might only open up for 2 hours one night, 2 a.m., and you got to get in there and pull.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
it's
That
tricky.
would make sense.
A lot easier with the anthuriums. That's why in the anthurium market, you'll see a lot more hybrids and
Hmm.
funky things coming out every single year because
Yeah.
they're just easier to cross pollinate.
Hmm. Yeah, and so uh, for anyone who's listening, like if you ever go to like the stores, you see those plants with they kind of look fake, with the like reddish looking flowers. We actually call them inflorescences in the plant community. Those are actually an example of like a anthurium that's been scaled way up in like market production. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
those and in particular those anthuriums, you'll see them every especially during the holidays. Home
mhm,
Depot and Lowe's.
yeah,
Um, that is from decades of
yeah,
commercial production,
hmm
is what that is.
yeah. So I know a lot of people like for me, my main plants that I like are you got your monsteras, anthuriums, your pothos, your epis, and your philodendrons. Do you guys mostly focus on one like group of plants? Or are you kind of like getting as much variety as you can, or what's your like goal there?
So the market strategy, and this is where it can be difficult as your business is growing in the plant community, is you kind of have to keep your finger on the pulse of
Yeah.
what is and isn't popular.
Mm-hmm.
So I separate them really into two categories. Is that and I do that by my growing environment.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of sellers have their own way of doing it. I do it by grow environment. So I have my tropicals in here. Those are your aroids or your Aracia family,
Yeah.
and then I have desert plants. So
Okay.
it's a
Yeah.
combination of the market demand, what is popular in the market demand, and what is available. So I'm in Arizona. So
Yeah.
and there are some world-renowned collectors that are within an hour's drive of me. So
Yeah.
I really don't have any limits to what kind of desert plants that I can get.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to bring in tropicals from California and Florida,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
that can be a little bit of a bottleneck. But it's really, what are people asking for? What's fetching the highest prices? How do I get the most margins out of these plants?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then that's the gamble. Don't buy too many of one species. I will give everybody a
Yeah.
heads up on that.
Uh-huh.
Buy 10 max. Even
Yeah.
us, the tens of thousands of plants that we go through when I'm ordering them in, I'm not buying more than 10 of any species.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah, because you got a certain amount of people who might be looking for a specific amount of plant, but not everyone's going to be wanting a very specific plant. So yeah,
Yep.
that makes sense.
Yep. And a lot of times, it's also customer education too. So on these lives, I'm able to show these plants. They're things that people don't get to see all the time. Then you do a little bit of education in there, how to care for them, and then people will purchase them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
the what a collector, or just your average person that likes houseplants in Ohio, Kentucky, they don't have access to the same plants that I would have here in Arizona,
Yeah.
California, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So it's our job as the retailer or the grower manufacturer to educate the population about, hey, these are also things that you can grow in your house,
Yeah.
and there's millions of them. It's unlimited,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, and I think like the business of plants, like we are talking mostly about ornamental house plants. It's really endless. Like any plant you think of, you can pretty much make profit from. Um,
Yeah, it
that's
really
something that I
is.
think is cool. Hmm.
Take a walk through your grocery aisle.
Yeah.
Most of those things in there have a plant product somewhere in it.
Hmm. Exactly.
You can make good money. I mean, grapes for wine, barley for beer,
Yeah.
corn. Holy cow, corn, soybean, olive
Yeah.
trees. There are margins everywhere. And generally speaking, how it works is if you buy wholesale, right? You buy a lot of it, you'll get it at a cheaper price and you can take it to the retail market. You know, basic capitalism. You
Yeah.
buy low and you sell high. If you buy in bulk, you'll get a better price on it.
Exactly. Okay, so I have a couple more questions. Um, I've actually been kind of looking into like getting started and whatnot, but I don't have like the hugest collection of plants. I have maybe 20 to 25 plants. What point do you think you have to be at to where you can kind of think, oh, like I should get started selling plants? Or do you think there even is a threshold that should be met before you get into that?
I don't believe that there's a threshold that should be met. Do you have one? Get your butt
Yes.
on there. Get your butt on there. Because how that works is that I think a lot of beginners in this industry, they're thinking
Hmm.
too much thought into it. What's my background? What plants do I have? What's this? What's that? The reality is that it takes years to develop an audience and a skill set to be good on live and to provide the products that people want.
Hmm.
So if you have, zero followers on there, the odds of you selling all 12 of those plants at the price that you want is slim to none.
Yep.
And that is the reality of it. So what I would say is, get yourself a handful of plants, nothing too expensive, and then get on there and get used to being on there live, selling
Yeah.
plants, answering questions, get starting to gain your audience.
Yeah.
You're not going to jump on there on day one and be like Rare Plant Daddy and have 100
Yeah.
people in there throwing money at you.
Hmm.
That takes years,
Exactly.
years and thousands of dollars of marketing, tens of thousands,
Hmm. Yep.
many thousands of dollars in marketing expense. And you can't spend that money in the marketing expense until a couple things happens. One, you got to get good at it,
Hmm.
and two, you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So don't. I would highly caution against jumping on your first sale or even your first dozen sales and try to sell 100 plants.
Hmm.
Like that, just don't do that. Uh, don't do it.
Yeah.
There's so many problems you're going to run into.
Uh-huh.
Grab 10.
Yeah.
Just grab 10. Make sure your order fulfillment is that day or the next day.
Yeah.
Wait for them to get there. Solve any problems you have with your fulfillment. If customers are upset, make sure, just especially in your early days, just take the hit, give them a
Yeah.
refund. It's not
Hmm.
worth a bad review.
Exactly.
And then just keep doing it and don't get discouraged at it. I've seen a lot of sellers come on and they're like, "Oh, it's too hard to sell," and really, I just hear a lot of excuses like,
Hmm.
"Oh, you guys eat up all the traffic.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have enough people. I don't have the right plants. I don't have this. I don't have that." Uh, and it was literally all the things I went through
Yeah.
7 years ago, 5, 7 years ago,
And that's
and
not just
all.
plants too. That's just like any business market. There's gonna be competition. It's gonna be hard to start selling. Like I had issues trying to sell my phone repair services to people. But then when you kind of get that traction, it gets better.
Yep. And that's also for you as the entrepreneur. Those are skill sets that you need to be able to
Exactly.
bring your clients in. If you could buy a product at $10 that was worth $30 and just put a thought out into the ether and somebody called you up and was like, "I'll buy it for $30,"
Hmm.
everybody would do it.
Yeah.
There'd be absolutely no reason not to do that. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's that skill set that you need, the business side of it, where you need to learn how to attract your customers.
Yeah. Hmm. Gotcha. So you just gotta get started. Don't go too crazy or anything, but definitely start learning by doing, and then building your following. That way, that um, you can get to that point to where you're selling as many plants as you want to in the future.
Exactly. Yeah. Get your operation. Stop worrying about the plants. Don't worry
Hmm.
about your camera. Don't worry about your background. Worry
Yeah.
about your operations.
Exactly.
Dial in your operations. And when your operations also create standard operating procedures for everything that you're doing.
Hmm.
Because at one point, it's going to be time to hire people. And you should, you know, hire. That was one of the mistakes that I made early on. I should have hired sooner. I really
Yeah.
could. I could have and I should have.
Hmm.
But I wasn't confident in the SOPs and our training and stuff. And then when I started hiring people, yeah, that's when the hockey stick starts happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was in one of your live streams probably about a month ago, and you mentioned that you guys were looking for more people to hire.
Yeah,
Um,
currently.
and yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people like me, for example, when I think of like starting a plant business, I didn't necessarily think of taking on other people. But when you have an operation that's handling like thousands of plants, you're there's no way you're gonna just be doing that all by yourself.
You can't. That's
Yeah.
not physically possible. The first thing you're going to hire for is order fulfillment. Right? You as the entrepreneur, go out there, get the business, get your margins, and then pay your people well to fulfill.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to get to the next level until you start hiring people to do. You have to replace yourself.
Yeah.
Is really, and part of my
Exactly.
goal as the business leader here is that I'm always looking for a way to replace myself. Is can I systemize this? Can I teach somebody else how to do it? because as soon as I start taking those things off of my plate, I can go work on the business rather than in the business.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it grow.
Yeah. And that's with every business too. That's not just with
Yeah,
plants.
absolutely. Every
Yeah.
business.
Okay. And then one of the last things I just want to ask you real quick is you guys definitely hooked me with the Facebook ads. Are you guys doing any other thing to kind of uh, market your product to people, or like what are your main other ways that you're doing that, and how have you had so much success with the Facebook ads?
Yeah. So marketing in general is a skill set. If you're a solopreneur, start reading books, go to seminars. That is a skill that you have to have.
Hmm.
You have to have it. And
Yeah,
I would recommend trying out some of the technical side of it: SEO,
yeah,
blog writing, video editing. Learn those skills, because once you have them in house, you can kick out your marketing like clockwork.
yeah,
When it comes to the ads, get your SEO and learn how to attract clients in a free way
yeah,
before. Well, it's not quite free, you got to spend your time on it, but you have time. You don't always have money.
yeah,
So learn the things that cost you your time: your SEO, live sales, posting on social media. Once you've got that under control, then I would look towards courses. Just take courses to get
mhm,
the basics of meta ads, YouTube ads, TikTok ads. Well, probably not TikTok, given that market's probably going to be
yeah, yeah.
disrupted here pretty soon.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, YouTube and Meta, that's how I got started. Well, 15 years ago, I took
Yeah,
a Facebook ads course it
awesome.
was for cell phone repair. That's when
Yeah,
I started doing those. And I
yeah.
took a $500 course that a year later, he started charging like 15,000 for it. So I kind of got lucky there.
Wow, yeah,
And that's where I learned it. As far as the strategy goes, you're gonna, well, not everybody, but what my strategy is that I'm gonna put, let's say I have $1,000 ad budget.
yeah,
There are thresholds on every platform of how many conversions you got to get. So you're gonna do a little bit of math there,
mm,
and then you're gonna start testing the waters, right? You're gonna probe, how does YouTube look? How does Google PPC, TikTok, and of course Meta. So when I first started doing those ads, I was on all of those. And what ended up happening is that Meta just kept outperforming and outproducing. So our marketing budget naturally just kind of shifted over there.
yeah,
So now what I have is I've got a system where I'm constantly scaling those meta ads, and then I'm still piloting. I'm tossing a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there. So
mhm,
just, you don't want to put all your eggs in a basket,
yeah,
but well, right now they're all in one basket,
yeah.
and the reason for that is because it makes better money.
Mhm,
But we also have campaigns, say that that for some reason Meta went down, something
yeah,
happened, EMP hit Meta, and it's gone now.
mhm,
We still have campaigns available for Google PPC, YouTube, TikTok. Haven't done Twitter, but they're there in case we need them.
mhm,
And then you scale your ads.
yeah, yeah.
That's
And that's
that's when your business will really start scaling. When you can, you put $1 in ads, you get $3 back.
yeah.
That's just a matter of putting more dollars into it.
Hmm. Yeah, and like you said, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, but when one basket is being more productive than the others, for example, Meta, Facebook, then you can afford to put more of those eggs into that basket that's going to be producing more for you.
Exactly. Yeah, you're just investing in your producer while keeping, your secondary and your tertiary products, paid ad products. Like
Hmm.
they're on the burner. They're there. You can use them if you need them. And
Yeah.
there actually is a point on all of the platforms when you start to scale your ads, you're gonna reach a point where those conversion costs are now the same as, say, YouTube or PPC,
Yeah.
right? And then when you get to that point, you'll start scaling those ads a little bit slower. But then your marketing dollars are going to start going into those other platforms, because now they're cheaper for your
Hmm.
conversions. And that
Awesome.
just really depends on the industry that you're in, your marketing ability, products, time of year. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that goes into that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I've asked all my questions that I have here for today. Was there anything else that you wanted to add on before we end this, or?
Yeah, for anybody listening, just in entrepreneurship, of the decades I've spent in there.
Mhm.
A couple things. One, first and foremost, understand that it is hard. It is going to be one of the hardest things that you've ever done. People around you are not going to get it. They're not going to understand it. They're going to think you own a business and now you're a multimillionaire,
Mhm.
or they're going to go behind the scenes and realize you're in a business that's losing money. So don't get discouraged by those failures and the struggles. It's going to happen. It's part of your journey.
Yeah,
And then don't be afraid of them. You have to learn to forgive
definitely.
yourself. You mess something up, go fix it. Whatever. You kill off all of your plants. Well, you probably should have had some insurance. You learned that
Yep.
lesson. I have.
Mhm.
And then just keep at it. That's really what every business you see out there, for the most part, has spent years getting to the point where you see them, and you're like, "Wow,
Totally.
why is this business successful?" They spent years working on it, and you're just, day one's not going to look like that.
Yeah.
So you just got to get out there um, and do it. Just do it. Consume information, read books, you know, um, fix holes in your personal skill set with operations, marketing, and things like that, and then just
Mhm.
do it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I just wanted to thank you for being on here. Everyone, if you guys want to check out Jared's stuff, he's on Palm Street and whatnot as Rare Plant Daddy. And then you guys are on Instagram too. Plants for sale, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's
Rare
that
Plants for
was
sale?
funny. It's funny. Actually, I will mention this, how Rare Plant Daddy came to be.
Mhm.
That was actually like our sixth or seventh brand name that we tried out.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. It
That
just
was
stuck
this,
though.
and it finally was sticky.
Uh-huh.
Rare Plants for Sale was our original, so we had, had followers everywhere. So I wasn't going to just change that. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
URLs and the domains are still Rare Plants for Sale, and like Instagram, Facebook, and then our group. But
Yeah.
then, the profile name is Rare Plant Daddy. We
Awesome.
don't post that much over there,
Yeah.
and I haven't been. I need to hire somebody that can actually post and do those things.
Hmm.
I don't need to hire anybody for the ads
Yeah.
because I can do them.
You've got
So
him.
I can still put my message out there even when I'm sleeping.
Awesome.